For years, I had poured my heart into the dream of adoption. Every spare moment was spent preparing, reading, and making our small home ready for a child. This was not just a wish. It was my ultimate path to a complete family. I felt a quiet, persistent hope growing inside me, a feeling I hadn't known in a long time. My sibling, Alex, knew all about my journey, every step and every setback. The final stages of my adoption application felt surreal. The agency had called, talking about home visits and matching possibilities. I remember the overwhelming sense of impending joy, a lightness in my chest I hadn't felt in years. I pictured a child's laughter filling these rooms, a future finally taking shape. Alex had even offered to help with some paperwork, always seeming so supportive. Then everything stopped. The calls from the agency became less frequent, then ceased. My emails went unanswered. When I finally reached someone, the explanations were vague, about unforeseen complications and further review needed. My hope began to fray, replaced by a growing knot of anxiety. I couldn't understand what was happening. The chilling phone call from social services came on a Tuesday. The voice was calm, professional, and utterly devastating. They informed me of severe, anonymous child abuse allegations against me. The words hit me like a physical blow. My mind reeled. Child abuse against me? It was impossible. My hands trembled as I listened, barely able to breathe. Shock turned to disbelief, then to frantic panic. I tried to understand, to demand details, but they were tight-lipped, citing confidentiality. Who would do this? Why? My heart pounded with a mix of fear and indignation. I spent hours replaying every interaction, every conversation, searching for any clue, any reason for such monstrous claims. The official rejection of my adoption application arrived a week later, a cold, clinical letter that shattered my world. It stated that due to the unresolved allegations, I was deemed unsuitable. Worse, it mentioned a permanent mark on my record, effectively ending any future hope of adoption. My dream, my future family, turned to ashes in my hands. I felt utterly hollow. As the initial shock wore off, a horrifying thought began to form. The allegations, though vague, contained specific details about my home life, my routines, even past personal struggles I had only shared with a select few. It was a slow, agonizing realization. These details could only have come from someone intimately close to me. The thought made my stomach churn with dread. I met Alex for coffee a few days later. They offered support, feigning empathy, but their eyes kept darting, subtly probing for information about the allegations. "Are you sure it wasn't someone from work?" they asked, too casually. I felt a chill run down my spine. The conversation was tense, unsettling, and left me feeling more unnerved than comforted. Later that night, alone in my quiet home, I connected the dots. Alex had known every vulnerable detail, every fear I'd shared about becoming a parent, every small insecurity. They had been privy to my deepest hopes. The gut-wrenching, soul-crushing realization hit me with the force of a tidal wave. My own flesh and blood, whom I trusted, was the accuser. It was an act of monstrous treachery. I collapsed onto my bed, the weight of the betrayal crushing me. The tears came, hot and relentless. This wasn't just a rejected application. It was the irreversible loss of my dream, a future stolen by someone I loved. As the sobs subsided, a cold, hard resolve set in. I would uncover the depth of this betrayal and its motive. I would make Alex pay for destroying my last chance at parenthood. The days blurred into a grueling cycle of legal meetings and endless paperwork. Each phone call from my lawyer brought another bill, another hurdle. My heart ached with the injustice, a constant pressure in my chest. I felt exposed, scrutinized, as if every part of my life was under a microscope, all because of Alex's lies. The shame was suffocating, even though I knew I was innocent. I knew I had to push through, but the weight was immense. Whispers followed me, even in places I thought were safe. Friends became distant, their eyes holding questions they dared not ask. I felt like an outcast, branded by a crime I didn't commit. The silence from those I loved hurt almost as much as the accusations themselves. It was a profound loneliness, a chilling isolation that settled deep into my bones. Every interaction felt tainted, every smile forced. The weight of it all pressed down, turning my once vibrant hope into a bitter disillusionment. I couldn't just defend myself anymore. I had to understand why. The image of Alex, my own sibling, capable of such cruelty, twisted my perception of everything. I started to look back, to comb through old memories, searching for a pattern, a hint of the insidious jealousy that must have been there all along. My gut told me there was more to uncover. It wasn't long before I started seeing it, a thread of manipulation woven through our shared history. Small slights, whispered comments, moments where Alex seemed to subtly undermine my successes or amplify my failures. I remembered the way they would always help with things, then subtly shift blame if anything went wrong. The pattern was chillingly clear now, a dark mosaic of envy and control. My stomach tightened with each new memory, a growing sense of dread and understanding. Then came the breakthrough, a digital footprint I never expected. An old, forgotten email account, a message chain with someone Alex knew, discussing my adoption application in detail, followed by vague hints about making sure it didn't go through. It wasn't a direct confession, but it was enough, a cold, hard piece of evidence that solidified my suspicions. My hands trembled as I read the words, a mix of triumph and devastating heartbreak. The truth was undeniable. I arranged to meet Alex, my heart a drumbeat in my ears. I laid out the evidence calmly, letting the words hang in the air. At first, they feigned shock, then anger, but as I pressed, their facade crumbled. The truth spilled out, a torrent of resentment, jealousy over my happiness, my dreams of a family. They admitted they couldn't stand to see me achieve what they secretly craved or felt I didn't deserve. Their words were daggers, each one twisting in my gut. I felt sick. The confrontation left me hollowed out but clear-eyed. This wasn't just about clearing my name. It was about exposing the monstrous treachery that had stolen my future. I decided then that Alex's actions needed to be known, not just to social services, but to everyone. Their calculated cruelty deserved a consequence that would reverberate through their own life. My goal shifted from mere vindication to ensuring their complete downfall. There was no turning back. The legal process, once a nightmare, became a path to justice. With the evidence, my name was eventually cleared. Social services acknowledged the false allegations, and my reputation was restored. But the adoption agency confirmed that the years of delays and the stain of the accusations meant my application was permanently closed. My dream of immediate parenthood remained shattered, a hollow victory. The vindication was a relief, but the emptiness persisted, a constant ache in my heart. The path to a family through adoption was closed, but my desire for parenthood was not. I began researching other avenues, surrogacy, fostering, my resolve unyielding. At the same time, my carefully planned retribution against Alex began. I started to systematically reveal their true nature to mutual friends, to family members, subtly exposing their manipulative patterns and the truth of what they had done. The consequences for Alex would be slow, steady, and devastating. I would not let them escape. Years passed. My life found a new rhythm, focused on building my future, exploring new paths to parenthood. Alex faced the irreversible consequences of their actions, their relationships fractured, their reputation tarnished. I knew they suffered, and a part of me felt a cold satisfaction. But the scar of their betrayal remained, a permanent reminder of how deeply family can wound. I had fought, I had won my name back, but the innocence of my dream was forever lost. I was moving forward, stronger, wiser, but forever changed by the ultimate theft of my hope.